So we talked a lot, we drank a lot, and finally I broke the ice and said, what about that hotel, Peter? And he said, oh, forget it. Forget it. Don't even think about it. This has been abandoned for 40 years. Don't even think about it. Because I had already some bottles of wine, I said, if it's 50,000, I buy it. The assistant came back and he said to me, Henk, they accepted your offer. We went all over the world, you know. We went to America and Canada. Many places in Europe, of course, and Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, to find a new home. And I went back alone to Thailand, to a place called Chiang. Don't ever go there because it's terrible, but I went there. I only had one very good friend at the time. And her name was Whiskey. She was amazing. For at least 1 year she was my true companion. I met my wife, my present wife there. Only one problem, she could not speak English and I couldn't speak Thai. That was a lot of body language. But anyway, finally we made it through and had 3 children.
This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and we have the good fortune today to have Henk on the channel as a guest star. And Henk has one of the most unusual stories I've ever heard of travelers, and I insisted that he share it with you, and he was very polite and has agreed to tell this story. Henk, welcome to the channel.
Hey, how are you doing?
Very good. So you're from the Netherlands, is that right? And you left over 20 years ago?
Yeah, exactly 22 years.
22 years ago?
Yeah, in the year 2000 I left the Netherlands.
So tell us your story.
Lived in Holland with great pleasure, and I had a great job, and I had some houses there, some property, and all come to a change when I got a kind of burnout from my work. At the same time, my mama died, very unfortunately, in one day. So that was kind of shock for me, and I decided to change my life and restart, reprogram, and start again. I tried to put my houses on the market, and that was quite successful. I sold the houses quite easy. Yeah, I sold these houses, and I went to some kind of fair that you can find some contacts who have houses abroad. So on that fair, I met a guy named Peter, and he was really nice guy, friendly, big, and we just directly got well good. Peter liked to drink some wine, and unfortunately I do also. So we had some nice wines and on that fair, and we talked a lot about houses. After that I never saw the guy again. But finally I took the step and left Holland and drove my big Chevy, I had an American car, direction France, where I wanted to find a new home. Moving that way, I had the directions quite in my head. Moving that way, I noticed that I left for a wrong turn, that I was going the total wrong way.
Wrong direction.
Wrong direction, yeah. I had to go there, and I went there. So anyway, I said, well, I'll give it a day. Let's see tomorrow. So I took a hotel, had some dinner, some wine, and I see tomorrow. The next day, I started again and driving in the good direction this time, but unfortunately, after an hour, I noticed again that I'm going the total wrong way. Yeah, that was really, really terrible. So I thought, well, how can this happen to me? So let's go into the town and drink a coffee, and we see after that what we're going to do, you know. And so we drove in the first town that we came by, and it was a very nice town, historical town, and it was amazing. So I parked my car there on 𝗎𝗔𝗍 square because I have the big car, you know, and it was very romantic. And I saw on the side there was a hotel for sale, Hotel de France, and it was with the sign à vendre. So I looked inside the hotel and it was a terrible mess. So I thought, well, these guys will never sell this, you know. That is amazing. It was such a junk. But all the things that were there were still from the 50s, you know, because it was abandoned for 30 or 40 years and it was really run down. So I left there and I went for the coffee joint, and on the way I passed an immobilier, you know, that's an agency for houses, and I tried to find that hotel, if there was some price or something, because I was just curious. And there was not, the hotel was not in the display, so I knocked the door, but nobody answered, nobody opened the door was locked. Finally went away again, but suddenly I heard something inside, so somebody came to the door. The door went open, and guess who was there? Peter. And he said, Henk, and I said, Peter, and it was amazing, you know, it was just amazing. Is this a coincidence? No, this is not coincidence, this is guidance. You know, I really was amazed to see him. So we talked a lot, we drank a lot, and finally I broke the ice and said, what about that hotel, Peter? And he said, oh, forget it. Forget it. Don't even think about it. This has been abandoned for 40 years. Don't even think about it. It's terrible. This couple is in divorce. They are divorcing, and forget about it. Peter went on, but I said, but Peter, how much is that hotel? I really like to know. Meanwhile, his assistant came in, and he's trying to contact the owners, and he called, and so. Because I had already some bottles of wine, I said, if it's 50,000, I buy it. You know, I didn't know what I was saying, because after 5 minutes or so, the assistant came back and he said to me, Henk, they accepted your offer. And suddenly, I didn't even saw the hotel, but I was the owner of the hotel. It was really a terrible experience. But anyway, the next day I went to have a look in the hotel, and it was a terrible mess, but I made it into business and it was quite successful, and finally we sold it again and made some good money of it, because I bought it very cheap and we could sell it for a good price. So after that experience in France, I thought about, okay, what I'm going to do now. So I had a traveling companion, and we went all over the world. You know, we went to America and Canada, many places in Europe, of course, and Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, to find a new homeland. I could not find it directly, but I thought back to the time that we were in Thailand, and I had some good time there, but it was only the northern part of Thailand. So my travel companion left, and I went back alone to Thailand, to a place called Chiang. Don't ever go there because it's terrible, but I went there. And that Chiang is a city on the Mekong. Opposite the Mekong is Laos. So there's nothing to do. It's the most boring you ever will find. And there I come to a complete stillstand. From all this traveling and grief that I had from my mother, I come to a complete stillstand. There was no adventure more, nothing was there anymore for me. I only had one very good friend at the time. And her name was Whiskey. Yeah, she was amazing. For at least 1 year, she was my true companion. and I had a great time with her. But finally, I broke out of it, and I left from Chiang Kong to Chiang Rai. That's a city, provincial city nearby there, where some more excitement. And I tried to make my way up there again to find something to do, because you know, if you're living in a foreign country and you have nothing to do, especially in Southeast Asia, terrible things will happen to you. You must always have something to do. And well, I am also from before I played drums in Holland, and I had my containers come over to Chiang Rai, and I started to play drum again, and also with nice Thai friendly guys in a restaurant. And I met my wife, my present wife there. She was a dishwasher, and that was a coincidence because I started as a dishwasher. When I was very young, 16 until 21, I cleaned the restaurant of my uncle and do the dishes.
That was my first job too.
Yeah. So I noticed that girl, and she was also carrying these heavy plates, and well, we get to know each other, but there was only one problem. She could not speak English and I couldn't speak Thai. So that was a lot of body language. But anyway, finally we made it through, and to make a long story short, we had 3 children, very lovely children, my daughters and my son. When they grow up a little bit, we moved to Chiang Mai because the schooling is better. I think the schooling is better in Chiang Mai, so we live there already now more than 13 years or so. Doing something, like I said, you must do something. I started to work my way in property. So in Chiang Mai, I bought some house and I sold them again to try it, and then I built a house and I sold it or rented out, and I thought, oh, this is easy work, because you know, I cannot have a work permit. I'm not able to work, but I don't work. I just tell the people how to make a house. Right? And they did it good, and I financed it and we sold it, and that was a very good income. I had houses before, but I never had an apartment building. So I said to my wife, let's make an apartment building, because I never did that, and I like to experience that. So that was also a great experience. It was also with 24 rooms, and it was very nice and sold quite good. So until today, I'm building luxury houses. I'm quite successful. If you see a luxury house, I probably built it in Chiang Mai. And I am, by the way, the first one. I built the first house in Chiang Mai with an underground parking. I thought this is very special for the Thai, but actually none of the Thai liked it, because the Thai like to show off the car. But now it's rented out to people from Hong Kong, and yeah, we still have a lot of houses, and that's how I made my income there now. And it's a great experience until now.
Yeah. So 22 years you've been traveling.
Yeah.
But more stable over the last 15, 16 years?
Yes,
is that right?
yes, in Chiang Mai. Yeah.
And so we're in the Philippines right now, aren't
Yeah.
we? But you live in Thailand. So how often do you make it over to the Philippines, and what do you think is the difference between the two?
Well, before Corona, I came here to meet my friends, you know, and there's a lot of difference, I think, between the Philippines and Thailand. First of all, you know, when I looked for a country, I looked for 5 points. Is it safe? You must live in a country. You can only live in a country where it's safe. In a war zone, you cannot live, right?
Yeah.
So you not go there. Then I am a little bit older, so how about the healthcare? Is the healthcare good? Then, because I have children, or at that time I wanted children, how about schooling? Is it good or what? Is it payable? And how about the people, right? So I think on the points of healthcare and education, Thailand is much better. And I also think it's safer in Thailand. So I choose for Thailand.
You're in Thailand, and are you a citizen yet, or just on a retirement visa, or a marriage visa, or?
No, I'm on a retirement visa, and I have a Dutch passport, and my children have a Thai Dutch passport, so they have two
dual
passports.
Citizens, yeah.
Yeah, and they call me officially a long stayer. Not an expat, because an expat is somebody who works for a company and finally goes back again, or an expat is temporarily in the country. But they call me officially a long stayer, and I'm quite satisfied because I keep my Dutch passport, and I have to apply, of course, every year a new visa, but that's no problem.
And so, do you keep health insurance in Thailand, or you just pay as you go? How do you handle the health insurance, or what do you do with that?
Well, I have now a quite good company who offer me health insurance, but unfortunately that stops when you're 70.
70?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 8 years to go. Apparently, Thai want you to die at 70 because they stopped the health insurance. But that's the only one I could get. It's a quite good health insurance.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask what company? Because people ask that from time to time.
Yeah, I understand that. I must find that out.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Okay, we can maybe subscribe that later.
Yeah, for sure. Have you met many expats while you're in Thailand, or long stay or expats?
Yeah.
Have you met many?
Yes.
What would you say is, depending of course whether you're out in the country or in the city, it varies, but what would you say is the range of income that you've met that people survive on or live on in the Thailand?
Well,
from low to high.
Most of them that I met had a poor salary, and because Thailand, Philippines, is not a rich country. So if you have big money, maybe you find your way to another country that has more to offer.
Yeah.
Right? So Thailand and the Philippines attract kind of people with a small budget. But many of them, because Thailand raised the visa requirements, you have to have some money in the bank now. So many have to leave the country because they could not handle the visa requirements.
Right.
And of course, the devaluation of the euro and whatever went down, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people had just not enough money to live in Thailand. If you want to live in Thailand, you really need money.
Yeah.
If you're married, it's different than if you're single, but you can find that out on the internet. But, you know, if you have some money and you're like 54 years up, you can have a retirement visa, and it's okay to live, but keep as a long stayer, don't go further than be a citizen. Just keep your own passport.
What does daily life feel like living in Thailand? You're in a cooler country, a little further north, but you're not on the hot beach. But how does life just feel different when you're in Thailand versus, say, the Netherlands or France? What do you see as the real feeling difference?
Yeah, well, I just came back from the Netherlands. I was there in March and April, and I went back with my family to visit also friends, and I came to the Netherlands and I could not handle nothing anymore. Everything changed, you know. For example, everything goes so fast, so stressful. And if you want to buy a ticket in the bus, you don't know where to buy it because nobody wants to sell it to you. You have to buy it with your phone. And if you want to pay the parking machine, there is no parking machine anymore. They all vanished. You have to do it on your phone. So I got totally disturbed in Holland. Everything went so fast. When I came to Thailand, you know, when you are in Thailand, it's relaxed. Of course, you have the weather is sometimes hot, but yeah, we have aircon, you know, and you can manage it. You just take my advice, don't go out shopping at 12 o'clock noon, right? That's a bad idea.
So have a rule, there's no alcohol between 2 to 5, right?
Yeah.
2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can only buy alcohol, and I think that's a good thing to control the alcoholism in Thailand.
Yeah.
You can buy alcohol from 11 to 2, and then there's a stop, and then after 5 until midnight, and then there's a stop again. So I always have to run to catch the right time. But
If I drink, so I know Thailand. So it's what time now?
Yeah. And so, Thailand's more relaxed, it sounds
yeah,
like.
surely the people are really, really very nice, friendly, and really, as I can compare it to my trip to the Netherlands. Netherlands and Europe, it's fast, it's speedy, it's stressful. Everybody is running around and not talking to each other. I don't. They all on the phone. No. Give me Thailand. I like this way of living more.
Yeah, I feel the same about the U.S. I mean, I go back and visit family and friends, but after a couple weeks, I've had enough. I want to get back to.
Yeah.
Actually, many parts of the world I enjoy more than the West. It's too fast. It's too crazy. It's like your whole life's about money.
Yeah.
When you're in the fast world, if you will.
Your budget of spending, if you do the Thai way, it can be much easier for you. You will save a lot of money. The only things that are a little bit more expensive is, of course, foreign wines, French, wines or cheese or all imported things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, these are also the things that I like. So
it's hard to give up good wine and good cheese.
Yeah, but anyway, Thai food is delicious, and
totally.
And you will not regret it. And just go on easy in Thailand. It's really great.
Yeah. Well, Henk, it's been a joy hearing your story. I want to thank you for coming on the channel.
Okay, nice.
I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
You take care.
Thank you
Take care,
for
everyone.
Bye bye.